A large fire broke out early this morning that destroyed a TG&Y family center in Midwest City. Witnesses say what started out looking like a small fire soon filled the entire store. There was no sprinkler system in the store to slow the flames down. Once firefighters arrived on the scene, they were more concerned about not letting the blaze spread to other businesses connected to the TG&Y store. Firewalls helped to keep the fire contained. Later in the day, officials were still trying to hose down hot spots inside the now gutted building. Investigators say the total loss is around $500,000. Store representatives came to recover cash inside the store safe. No one was injured in the fire that was so hot steel beams melted down, causing the roof to cave in. As for what started the blaze, investigators are calling the fire suspicious for a number of reasons.
At the present time, it's under investigation. We definitely feel it's an incinerated suspicious type fire.
When you speak of suspicious, what leads you to think that it was a suspicious type fire rather than an electrical short or what have you?
Well, we're leaning back strongly now on the evidence we've accumulated and found at the scene, plus what witnesses have told us.
Are you at liberty to say what are you finding at the scene? What are they telling you?
Well, not at the present time, because as I stated, it's under investigation, and that's about all the information we can release at the present time pertaining to the investigation.
I understand there's a car being looked for right now.
That's right, yes. Started looking for that car approximately 1:45 this morning.
Investigators say they'd like to question at least one person about this fire, but gave no indication as to who that person may be. They haven't ruled out the possibility that it may be a fired employee. Ed Stewart, Action 4 in Midwest City.
The usual Friday crowd at Will Rogers Airport. But with snow on the runways, you would think these passengers would remain in the airport instead of the airways. Not so. Flights in and out of Will Rogers ran on schedule today. A few flights delayed, but snow was not a problem for passengers.
The aircraft and the facilities at this airport pose no problems. Their biggest hazard is when they back out of their driveway at home on untraveled streets. This airport is 100% operational.
There were a few delays here at the airport, but that wasn't by chance. Sanding, scraping, and de-icing began early this morning. The winter snow and frost left their mark on 11 overnight planes at Will Rogers. Airport and airline crews de-iced the planes with ethylene glycol, a chemical similar to car antifreeze. Crews aiming most of the de-icing solution at the wings. However, the most important target for airport crews is the runway. After a layer of hot sand is laid down, a brush and blower truck takes over. The steel brush breaking up ice on the runways, the blower pushing it away at a force of 300 miles an hour. Over $5,000 worth of sand used at the airport today. So the system is expensive, but more importantly, it's effective. Larry Otis, Action 4, Will Rogers Airport.
You know, he has been the chief of operations for, I think, 3 of the 4 years he's been chief, or assistant chief. And, you know, the operations of the end of the police department is the patrol, the traffic, and detectives. So that's the people who are actually out in the field. So, you know, Gramling, again, is not an unknown quantity among the officers. They pretty well know what to expect from him. I think they know what's important to him. And I think the department will mirror image that this chief tries to project, and that is one of maybe being a little nicer.
Brucellosis. It's a disease that causes abortions and sterility in livestock. The Reagan administration has proposed reducing the brucellosis eradication program's budget. Some state officials say the measure could reverse years of progress. An official with the Oklahoma Cattlemen's Association says the disease can be devastating to a ranch operation.
It's a very complex disease, and most of us don't understand all there is to know about it, but we have learned from the ranchers that have vaccinated for many years that the best way to control and eradicate that disease is through calf-foot vaccination.
Even though the Reagan administration is planning to reduce the budget, most cattlemen like Freeney say they can still get rid of the disease. But some state officials say if the budget is reduced, it would give the disease a chance to spread again. Ben McCain, Action 4 at the state capitol.
A group of concerned parents believe money earmarked for the maintenance of school buildings is not being spent for that purpose. So they took their complaint to State Auditor Tom Daxon, asking him to take a look at the books and complain to him that no one is doing anything about their charges.
We go and we ask the help of somebody, and they say, well, we can't help you, but I know somebody that can. Right. And then when we get to them, they say, well, we can't help you, but we know somebody that can. And it just seemed, we're really wasting a lot of effort and time, it seems like, because nobody that's really in the position to do anything about it is really just overly eager to help us.
At the time I sought this office, I made some commitments about where I was going to spend the bulk of my time auditing, and those were, and at the time I ran, that doesn't mean I don't want to respond to the problems, but at the time I ran, I promised that I would audit the counties. I promised I would audit the welfare department. I promised we would look into tag agents. And until I have finished those, and we still have not, until we finish those, I don't, in good conscience, feel like I can take on additional responsibilities if it's going to detract from getting these other audits completed. But
So the parents left the office still looking for an auditor, and if they find one, School Superintendent Tom Payzant says his books are ready for them.
We have audits all the time. The board is each year hiring a certified public accountant firm to audit all of the books. The audits are presented to the board at a public meeting. They are part of the public records. We've got nothing to hide. People can come and look, and I don't think the state auditor would find anything that our certified public accountants haven't found and presented in their public reports.
Ted Brown, Action 4.
For the last few months, liquor stores have been forced to stock their shelves with not-so-popular brands. But today, that story's changed.
For distillers, the book has ended with a happy ending. The state Supreme Court's ruling does away with a profit motive in the Oklahoma connection. Wholesalers can still sell out of state, but the liquor they buy will be at the price in the market they plan to sell to. So now distillers that pulled out of Oklahoma last fall are anxious to come back. This afternoon, Buckingham, Hiram Walker, Maidstone, and W.A. Taylor were issued state liquor licenses. Liquor stores, especially small ones, are glad to see that move.
I'm happy. I think everybody, the consumers and everybody else, will be happy about it. It's a good thing for us and for the consumer.
Kirsch says he expects a lot of his customers to start buying their old brand as soon as it's back on the shelves. But this customer says now that he's changed, he won't switch back.
I found out I could get along without VO. They manufactured a good product, but I found that I could buy a better product from another manufacturer I had never seen before at a better price, and I really don't care where they sell their whiskey.
Whatever the case, the countdown's begun, and favorite brands such as Cutty and Crown Royal are expected to be back in the stores by April 1st. Carol Lambert, Action 4.
Well, I will just go about trying to be the best possible Supreme Court justice that I can make, and like anything else, it's a job. It requires great endeavor. It's very challenging, but it's mainly something that you have to work at and apply yourself toward some excellence, and I will devote myself to that. I surely hope that a viewpoint of a daughter, a mother, and a wife would surely add a dimension and contribute a viewpoint.
These soldiers in Vietnam did not have to be directly sprayed with Agent Orange to be affected by it. They could have been exposed in other ways. Dioxin, the main ingredient, leached into the water supply. Soldiers claimed the water was frequently flavored with Kool-Aid to cover up the taste of what was supposed to be a tasteless herbicide. Maintenance people working on the planes that sprayed the chemicals over the countryside were also exposed. The U.S. government admits that all servicemen in Vietnam probably came into contact with Agent Orange. Many of these soldiers are claiming they are now suffering the effects, ranging from chloracne to cancer. But the government does not admit those symptoms are caused by Agent Orange. A bill passed by the state Senate will not settle claims for suffering servicemen, but an attorney representing 9 men with various symptoms says the Senate bill will provide help in linking those symptoms with Agent Orange.
In the litigation, we need to prove that exposure to Agent Orange causes these various ailments, such as liver cancer and things of that nature. In order to do that, we need a group study. At the present time, there is a group study being conducted by the Veterans Administration. However, this study may be biased. We hope that through legislation, such as legislation here in Oklahoma, which is similar to legislation that's been passed in other states, such as Texas and New York, states of that nature, we can conduct a group study and make this causative link. Once we can do this, then the veteran will have a much greater chance of obtaining compensation for his injuries.
The tests needed involve major surgery to remove tissue from deep in the abdomen. They then check it for signs of Agent Orange. Attorney Wolf admits the process could take years, and there are problems with finding a control group, that is, servicemen never exposed to Agent Orange, who are willing to undergo the same surgery. Right now, the bill has been passed by the Senate, and another similar bill has passed the House. For it to take effect, the 2 houses must decide on one of them before they begin looking for and testing Vietnam veterans. Ted Brown, Action 4.
On one corner, a Kerr-McGee station sells self-service regular gasoline for $1.17 a gallon. The Mobil station across the street sells the same gas for $1.11, only a penny above their own cost. They do it to be competitive with the smaller station across the street. Cardon is by no means a small company, but the national company buys a lot of gas from small, independent refineries at prices far below the major refineries. Gas is not the major product Cardon stores offer. They are one of several chains of convenience stores with gas pumps out front. They say stores can't survive selling just gasoline, and the big companies agree.
The company is just, they've got the gas there just to draw the customers in, like for instance, the Citgo down there. Their gas is excellent gas. I mean, I'm not going to knock their gas. For the price of it, it's worth buying there, you know. And, but their convenience store is what gets them the money. You know, and the same thing with Cardon across the street here. You know, and people like Joe here at the Mobil station and Kerr-McGee and Texaco over there, our main business is mostly the gas, you know, because we are a gas station. And for us, we've got the base here, you know.
The major companies survive by providing other automotive services. The Mobil company runs a garage. They say that most of the service stations have learned what it takes to survive, and it's unlikely that any who have survived this long will experience serious problems anytime soon. Charles Schnitzer, Action 4.
Well, what they didn't do was play tennis. You would think that the first nice day in a while would go to things like tennis, you know, fun, relaxing, but the courts were empty this afternoon. What wasn't empty was the car wash. It says something about a society, I think, whose first priority when the weather finally turns nice is to clean up their machines.
Well, it's the only break I had. I'm on my lunch break, and tonight's the Foreigner concert, and it's got to look good to go to the concert.
Okay, maybe he has got his priorities straight.
Everybody together. 1, 2, 3.
But the younger set was into some organized balloon releasing. These kids at St. Charles School tied their names and addresses to the balloons and let them go in hopes someone would find them. That's not too likely for the ones that didn't make it past the trees, but it was a nice way to say goodbye to winter. Ted Brown, Action 4.
It eats prairie dogs, that's right. Right here, and you keep your lips real tight. Now put your lips inside.
It has to go the other way because it won't fit in the oven. Okay, no. There's some. Oh, is that them? Okay. That's one of them.
The trappings are simple: a dirt track, a pack of dirt bikes, and a measure of devil-may-care raw courage with a sense of adventure. There are no contracts and very little prize money to be shared by very few professionals. But for those pros and the not-so-pro, motocross is a sport with its own rewards.
get lots of trophies.
Like 100% payback, say like there's 15 riders. At $10 a head, there's $150 split up between the top 5 guys. But on the national circuit, there's quite a bit of money to be made at it.
Under the warmth of the sun, in the shadow of the conventional roadway, amateurs and pros alike speed and jump and race to win for a little money, a lot of fun, and a chance to qualify for the national championship cross in Houston. The fun is guaranteed. The money and the championship are earned. Flames were shooting out of an apartment on the 12th floor when fire units arrived, casting an orange glow to the sky. Fire officials quickly called a second and third alarm on the blaze, although the fire was confined inside the one apartment. While one crew of firemen worked to kill the blaze, another unit worked at evacuating the 24-story apartment building. A high percentage of the residents here are elderly, and that made the job of evacuation more difficult on the firemen and caused a measure of trauma for the residents, who feared their friends may be trapped, unaware of the blaze, or unable to get out.
Okay? I know it. I got out there and I was just screaming for you to come out, but I tried to take care of you.
A few of the residents required oxygen. Only 3 were taken to the hospital, one with a suspected heart attack. None of the other injuries appear serious. Department spokesman Phil Cooksey says the building management here was very fire conscious.
And they've had drills here teaching them to keep their doors closed and put the towels by the door to keep smoke from entering the room. In fact, we had the fire out before some of the persons on the 12th floor were taken out, before we could actually get to them because of the heat and the smoke. So, and it's a credit to their preparations that they've done, and it probably, if we get people out in the hallways wandering around and like that, it can be very serious.
Last month's blast at Star Elementary School has made safety a key concern to parents in the Oklahoma City School District. Some of the district's schools and heating systems are old, and the parents think in need of repair. Safety then has become an issue in next month's bond election. The bond, if passed, would replace some older schools, like Eugene Field Elementary School. In other cases, like Classen High School, boilers that are getting too old to repair are scheduled for replacing. But the parents pushing for the bond issue say that while safety is important, it's not the only issue involved.
I'm very concerned, as are other members of the steering committee, that the environment is not conducive to the best learning situations within our schools. I really believe that the way a room appears and the way the building greets the children each morning, and even the grounds, has a great deal of to do with their attitudes of the day, how they feel about themselves, how they feel about that educational process, and where they go from there.
Parents opposed to the bond agree that safety is not the only issue. Fiscal responsibility is important too.
That is one of our major concerns. We also are concerned with the education of our children. And with proper management, we feel that we could have both. We could secure both with the tax dollars that go into our system. I just don't feel like at this time we as parents and patrons are willing to give them any more money until they can prove to us that the money they have had in the past has been managed properly.
Recent state laws require an audit from school systems. Parents supporting the bond say that law addresses the fears of fiscal mismanagement. Charles Schnitzer, Action 4.
For the last 8 months, Billy Carter, the former president's brother, has been working for Tidwell Industries. He's selling and promoting various kinds of mobile and module homes, many of which are sold in Oklahoma City. Carter says Oklahoma is the 4th largest market in the country for this type of housing because of the booming job market in the state. He says the average wage earner can afford investing in a $16,000 to $20,000 mobile home compared to an average-priced house. And he points out that if someone loses his job, the mobile home can easily be moved and relocated. Overall, Carter sees it as a financially sound investment.
I think they were alternate, but now I think the answer to the housing problem, and we're seeing more and more different range of people getting into them. It's because you can buy them so much cheaper, they are appreciating in value every year. Any home built for the last 4 or 5 years is worth as much or more now than it was when you bought it.
From here, Billy Carter will move on to other states, promoting and pursuing his new career in mobile homes. Carol Lambert, Action 4.
Was in the fire station. They responded to this fire alarm and the A ward. Thank you.
Confuse the issue. Okay. All right.
Okay. Thank you, Chief Gramling. At this time, I'd like to ask Lieutenant Major Barry to come back up.
The last city council meeting, the mayor did proclaim this officially as John Mercer Day, and in behalf of the city and the mayor and council, I'm here to congratulate Mr. Mercer and wish him many more happy years, and best of luck, and I'm glad you have quite a gathering of people on your behalf.
What's so special about John Mercer? It's simple. He's 96 years old today and going strong. He grew up in Alabama, but's lived in Mustang for the last 20 years. Many of those years have been happy ones, watching his children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and great-great-grandchildren grow and prosper. He says they've kept him young. He can often be seen sporting around town in his own two-wheeler. Mercer's seen a lot of changes in the country since 1886, especially in the children.
They're a whole lot easier on kids now than it was when I was growing up. Kids have their own way about practically everything. And I didn't, and the rest of us kids didn't do it. We had work. We wasn't allowed to give in the back talk to mother or dad, either one.
Today was a high point for John Mercer. We all wish him a very happy birthday. Carol Lambert, Action 4.
Loss of capital on their part. So some things that we've looked into is zoning and
justify spending that much money without using a competitive bid.
There are certainly other programs that are receive maximum benefit of treatment. This will only be moved out of the mental health. I think that's something that if you can give me, I can. Those are questions that I don't have.
I think that with $20,000, you could spend some of that money up for transportation.